It's funny how some words are so common, we just never really think about them. But what if I told you one of those everyday words is actually part of a secret club? A really, really exclusive one that's a cornerstone of the entire English language. And that word is elastic. Yeah, I know, it seems totally ordinary. We all know what it means. But its real story, its special status, has almost nothing to do with being stretchy. So, what is it? What makes this one little word so important? Okay, so before we get to the big secret, we gotta do our homework. Let's just quickly go over the basics of the word itself. Get our feet on the ground before we dive into the deep end. First up, how do we say it? Well, phonetically, it's elastic. Elastic. Easy peasy, right? But of course, a word is so much more than just how it sounds. All right, so we've got the sound down. Now let's talk about the meaning. What do we actually mean when we say something is elastic? This is the next piece of our little puzzle. The definition is exactly what you'd expect. Something is elastic if it can stretch or bend, and then, this is key, it goes back to its original shape. It's all about resilience, right? That ability to bounce back after being put under a little bit of stress. And we've got a couple of perfect examples here. The rubber band, that's the classic, the obvious one. But the metal spring, that one's actually a bit more interesting. It gives back the energy that was put into it. So see, elastic isn't just about stretching. It's about storing up potential energy and then releasing it. And that concept, that's going to be really important. Okay, so we know how to say it, we know what it means, we've seen it in action. But none of that is the big secret. The real reason this word is so special? Well, it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. And there it is, the big reveal. Elastic is on the basic English 850 list. That one sentence changes everything. Suddenly, elastic isn't just a regular old word anymore. It's a member of this really exclusive club. Which, of course, leads to the obvious next question, right? The basic English 850 list. What on earth is that? And this is where our story gets really, really interesting. The answer is something called basic English. And it's basically a whole language built inside the English language. At the core of this whole idea is one number, 850. And that number is not random at all. That's it. That's the total number of words you get to use in the entire basic English language. So what is it? Well, basic English is this super simplified system, almost like a controlled version of English. It's built on a foundation of just 850 words, and they were all handpicked for a very specific mission, to make clear global communication possible for everyone. And the goal here was huge. It wasn't about dumbing down English, not at all. It was about boiling it down to its most essential parts. The idea was to create this universal tool that proved you could talk about big, complex ideas with just a small set of words. And our little word elastic was considered so fundamental, so important, that it made the cut. So you might be thinking, okay, this is a cool history lesson, but why does some language project from the 1930s still matter? Well, because the story of elastic and its spot on this special list points to something that's always true about how we communicate. Simplicity is powerful, like really powerful. Think about it. We started this whole journey just looking at elastic as a word for, well, stretchy things. But now we see it completely differently. It's not just some random adjective. It's a fundamental building block. A concept so essential that someone decided it was one of the 850 words you need to explain, well, basically anything in the world. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that simplicity can lead to amazing clarity. That having limits, like only 850 words, can actually make you more creative. And that having a core set of words like this is just an incredible tool, not just for talking to people across the globe, but for anyone who's trying to learn something new from square one. So we went from one single word all the way to a whole system for communicating. And that leaves us with a pretty cool question to chew on. The people who made basic English, they were convinced you could explain almost anything with their list. So it really makes you think, doesn't it? If you had to, what big, complex idea could you break down using just those 850 words?